Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Dear students, it is entrepreneurship of class 12th. Today, let us move towards the previous topic, that was entrepreneurial competency. But in that very lesson, we try to know that what are the entrepreneurial competencies. I already told you in that very lesson that every entrepreneur needs to be some of the competencies, and unless and until he has all these competencies, he cannot proceed ahead, he cannot be a successful entrepreneur. So it is inevitable for every entrepreneur that he has to gain them, he has to attain the competencies. But we know that every person is not having a competency, because the competencies, some of the people, they are lacking some of the competencies, while as the others are having these competencies by birth. But here, Kikinada experiment, I already told you that these were done in 70s, and these were some of the experiments done. On these experiments, on the basis of these experiments, they have proved that these entrepreneurial competencies, they can be developed, or they can be developed through education and training in human minds, or they can be injected in human minds through education and training. This competency can be developed, this can be sharpened, but there are certain procedures. Kekenada experiment says that there are some procedures which can develop, or which can shape these competencies in entrepreneurs or the human beings. For them, we have 4 procedures, or we have 4 steps to follow the procedure. First among them is competency recognition. Yes, competency recognition means that first a person, or for that matter our entrepreneur, has to recognize, he has to understand what a competency is, what a particular type of behavior means. So unless and until he knows the meaning of a particular behavior, or he recognizes or understands a particular behavior, he cannot acquire it, he cannot attain it, he cannot go through it. In other words, we say that to develop a competency means to understand and recognize the particular competency. So the first thing is that we have to understand and we have to recognize a particular competence, and then we can attain it, we can gain it. So among the 4 procedures, the first is, among the 4 steps to follow the procedure, the first is that we have to recognize the competence. Second is self-assessment. Now we have recognized that what a particular competence is. What we have recognized, we have understood the particular type of recognition. We have recognized a particular type of competency. Second thing is that we have to assess it, that whether I possess the particular competence or not. After understanding, recognizing a competence or a behavior, I have to see that whether I possess it, the particular competence or not, and then I have to see how frequently I can exhibit the same in my particular life. So to know the competency first, and to see that whether I can possess the particular competence, this is the second step. At the same time, whether I can expose it, I can show it, I can show my competence, I can show my talent before the people, to show my worth, whether I am capable enough to do this. This must be the second point, this must be the second step for this competence, for the development of competence. In this very field, every entrepreneur, or for that matter every person, has to answer some of the questions, and then he has to answer the questions, and then he has to give the rating. For example, the questions can be whether how much time I can devote to a particular work. He has to answer this question. He has to answer the question whether I prefer to do tasks that I know well, or he has to answer this question, how long hours for how long hours can I take to complete a particular work, or how much I can work for my new ideas, or how do I welcome new challenges and opportunities? Do I look for new opportunities like a watchdog? When I am confused, should I seek others' advice? Or I want to see my enterprise the best of its type. So these are some of the questions that he has to answer. And after answering these questions, he has to give the rating to what extent a particular question I am going to answer. I can fulfill to the best of my capability, to the best of my need. In this rating, he has to answer these questions, and with this rating, he can answer the questions with this rating. And at first, he will keep 75 to 100 A, and then 50 to 75 B, then 25 to 50 C, and then 0 to 25 D. So for every question he has to give the rating. For example, he has to see that whether I prefer to do risky ventures. If he is confident enough, yes, I can prefer to do risky ventures, he can grade it, he can rate it that I prefer to do risky ventures. He can put this the answer of this question in 75 to 100. And at the same time, if he has to answer this question, that can I think about the new ideas, if he is not capable enough to find the new ideas or to respond to the new ideas, he can put it in a C rating, that is 25 to 50, because he is not capable enough to join the new ideas. So this is particular type of rating that he has to do. And after this, he has to go to the third step, or step C, that after knowing whether one stands with respect to a particular competency, one needs to practice the same on continuous basis. Yes, he has attained, he has gained, now he is going to practice a particular type of competence, but he has to repeat it again and again, because we say that practice makes a man perfect. If he wants to be perfect in a particular type of practice, he has to repeat it again and again. If he wants to become skillful in a particular type of competence, he has to repeat it again and again, even though it is a routine job, it is a simple idea, it is the simplest activity, but he has to repeat it again and again, because it is new in his life. That new things need to be repeated again and again, otherwise he cannot practice them in his life. And then the fourth is feedback. This particular person has to give feedback to a particular thing, particular this competency. Feedback means that he has to see the strengths and the weaknesses of a new behavior. That he has to see that I am practicing a particular type of competency, whether what are my strong points and what are my weak points. He has to see the weak points. This is known as the feedback. Feedback means to know the strengths and weaknesses in a particular type of field. Now he is practicing a particular type of competence in a particular type of field. In a particular field, he has to go through the introspection at every level. Otherwise, he cannot become a successful entrepreneur. He cannot be a skillful and competent entrepreneur. Because to develop and sharpen a particular type of competency, he has to go through the feedback at every level, in every situation, and then he can become a successful entrepreneur. So these are the 4 points here. These are the 4 steps that can give him a procedure to develop, to sharpen a particular type of competency. First was competency recognition, then self-assessment, then practicing it again and again, and the last was for the introspection or the feedback for his. This was to feedback that was to know his strengths and weaknesses. So I think this is enough for the day. Thanks.